Yeah. Back at it again.
Youngins in school never got no affection. I was bitten on how they was dressing. Witnessing they self-esteem start the lesson. And ask if it's cool if I cheat while we testing a young adolescent. Young and confused, abused and misused. The love I refuse. Now I'm here stressing, so unamused by who I bruise more than a few. Now I gotta right the wrongs that I drew. All of my regret, I can't let it brew. I can't let it spew on him, her, or you. The only way to heal is to keep it true. Now I'm like,
coming up, one of the first artists. So I break it up into different sections. So I say subconsciously, Earth, Wind and Fire, Parliament, Funkadelic, Hall and Oates. That's like from my step pop.
Yeah.
You mean, from being in his car, riding in my mom's car. Feel me? Sean Paul, TKO crew, like a lot of old school reggae, a lot of old school bachata, like Anthony Santos, Aventura, feel me? Hella old school hip hop. Eric B and Rakim,
Sure.
Big Daddy Kane, mainly 90s R&B. You got your Jodeci's, you got your Tony Tones.
All day.
When I'm riding in my dad's car, in the front seat of my dad's car at 5 years old, I ain't had no business in that front seat. A lot of D Block, a lot of Jadakiss and Styles P, you feel me? A lot of Hove, a lot of Jay-Z. And I say now, if you look on my phone now, it's a plethora of artists, feel me? Erykah Badu is in my rotation a lot. Solange, honestly, I'm not even trying to be cool. A lot of local talent. I mean,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Chuck Acid, James Olive,
Got to.
Soraya Nicole. It's a lot to name, but I gotta shout them out because I see them in the same light as I see some of the major artists.
For
feel
sure.
me? And that's the way that I look at them. Like, so yeah, shout out to everybody that I just named. C Rush, I'm blasting your music too. He called himself C Rush the Innovator. Like, and he make his own beats. He mix and master all his shit. It is really dope. Feel me? So yeah, shout out to everybody that's living as if they already made it. You know?
Yeah.
'Cause that's what you're supposed to do. So yeah, that's just a little something, man, of
Facts.
what I'm listening to.
Because if you living like you made it, you know what I'm saying, you just magnetizing that reality towards you. It's only a time. It's not too far away essentially. Like you just keep putting out your work, and that reality is going to catch up to your mindset.
Yeah.
Cause you already there. Like, so it's like, yeah, I already knew I was going. I already knew I'm high. I'm just waiting for y'all to catch on type time. So it's like, you lit. Come on, you lit. I was listening to the last two projects to refresh myself. You feel me? I was listening in the summertime. Ant threw it on while we was painting this crib. But yeah, you mentioned like how music is healing. And can you like speak on that process, like how that works for you?
I don't think that music is the healer.
Right.
I think it's the catalyst to the healing.
Yeah.
You feel me? Music has always been one of the primary ways that I'm able to process my thoughts and emotions. Feel me? Because I grew up so I grew up as an extrovert who was forced into being the introvert.
What you mean by that?
My mom was traumatized by her childhood, and she also was a victim of armed robbery. So growing up, and also she was traumatized. Let's just be real. She was traumatized by the men in her life.
Facts.
I mean, men who were masculine, but they had a lot of hurt in them. Feel me? So they didn't know how to love, how to instill love in that masculinity. Feel me? So they were able to provide security, but they still instilled fear into my mom, or they instilled the mistreatment, so on and so forth.
Right.
And my mom didn't want me to be that. So when it came to necessary topics that needed to be discussed, like sex, like how to be in a relationship with women, I never got that. And of course there were other variables like working, you know, going to school, you know, just different things like that. So she never really let me off the block for like a very long time. And if I wasn't doing an extracurricular, then I had to come straight home. Feel me? And I couldn't really go out as much. But on my dad's side of the family, my dad like, no, like you can't be out here oblivious to what's around you. Like I don't, like my dad always said, I don't want you walking around thinking there's sunshines and rainbows and there's bullets and gun smoke. Like you just can't do that. So that duality led me to be very rebellious when I lived in my mom's crib. And many people don't know that I have a stutter. Like so, but prior to me rapping, so like essentially stuttering is when one part of your brain is when both sides of your brain are trying to work while you're trying to speak. So it causes like a glitch. You know what I mean? So rapping alleviated that.
Wow.
Because the music, I'm not a neuroscientist and nothing like that, but I would assume that the energy that I had to put into music and performance probably caused one side of my brain to focus on the music and the other part to talk. So that muscle memory probably,
They say when you play an instrument, you're using both sides of your brain, and when you use both sides of your brain, it souls together and it forms dendrites. So I would say it's the same process, basically, like playing the instrument, because I'm saying one side is the emotional, one side is the logical, and you putting it together to form your track and create the sound that you want to create.
That, bro, that's a really good synopsis. I appreciate that. Yeah, like I used to take speech classes, bro. My stutter was so bad, bro. I couldn't talk, like, and you know, school is a motherfucker. Like, I'm gonna just be candid, yo.
Facts.
School, dog, like
that's your trauma in itself.
Oh my god, bro. School, like, yo. I remember in middle school when all my friends, air quotes, ran into the class. Like, yo, Eli, we heard that new song when you were T-Pain. That shit was hot. I'm like, what? Is am I blaming it on the yo, bro? And I can look back and laugh at that now, but bro, like,
when that hit,
oh my god, like,
hurt.
And it was so bad that I couldn't really. I was afraid to talk to people. And my social skills were very low because I was never out. Like the Dollar Party Jams, 923, like that wave.
Yeah.
I saw that wave from the screen of my computer.
Right.
Like I missed it. You feel me? I didn't get the Wu-Tang in the circle and like, you know, all that stuff that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm an extrovert, but it kind of turned me into an ambivert because I had to learn how to recapture that childhood that I missed. Through music.
Yeah, you definitely hear it on the bars.
Yeah,
the bars tape. He talk about it like basically what he was just speaking about just now. Like you hear it in his rhymes, and that's basically what I was going to talk about next. Is like, you know, the vulnerability in his music is heavy.
Yeah.
And like how does that translate in your life? Because like you were saying, the music helped you process your thoughts and emotions. For me, that's the same too. So the question is like, so when you started recording more or started to like work on your craft more, you felt like it took it to the next level, like you were able to, you know, like level up with how you deliver like thoughts and emotions and stuff?
Yeah, so I would say prior to Bars, the project that I put out prior to Bars was Illa Dwellers.
Yeah.
And the first mixtape I ever put out was Time Will Teacher. So Time Will Teacher was the Eli who wanted to prove himself as an MC. And I thought that you just had to check off all the boxes of what an MC is. You feel me? Like lyrical ability, you feel me? studying the history of how hip hop came to be, like really doing the knowledge and having the packaging of what a rapper looks like. Feel me? And so that's what I thought in that mixtape. That was the barometer. You feel me? When I got to Illa Dwellers, I was living in Kensington at that time. I was living right on Kensington and Allegheny on F Street. So I was in the midst of the heroin pandemic that we in now. Many people don't know that area is the heroin capital of the world. Yeah, feel me? So like the story that my dad was talking about when it came to the crack epidemic, I was living it through the heroin epidemic. And it was I didn't realize until I moved that I was literally on fight or flight mode every day. Venturing through that joint, like I remember when the shorty came through and I had to like get her out of a shootout. Like we were in the middle of a shootout, feel me? And I had to get her out of that joint. And a lot of people don't know, me and Knowledge lived in that joint. Like Knowledge lived down the street. So when people saw us, this was during the time that we had the high top fades and the colorful clothes. They probably thought that we was from Winfield or something. Nah, nigga, this ain't no Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, bro. Like we really
in the mix, in the
trenches heavy. You know? So that's when I turned into like a news forecaster, feel me? Like talking about what I saw, but I created characters because I still didn't see the relevance of my life yet. Feel me? Like I thought like it was still kind of like I was like leaning out of the checking the boxes kind of mentality, but it was still there. Like, all right, now I can show niggas that I'm hard because this is where I'm from. You know what I mean? Like I was smoking a lot of weed. Feel me? I was having relations with a lot of women. I saw guns. I saw people shooting up, and I saw that all my life, but it was just magnified at that joint. You just there. Feel me? Like the rats running across the floor, garbage everywhere. So I forecasted that, and I wanted to show how dark I could get. I'll never forget this conversation. It's this boy named Shane. He was one of the executive producers for Chuck S's Never Ending Mixtape. A lot of people don't know that. I played Illa Dwellers for him, right? And I played Liar. He's like, alright. He's like, alright, yeah, skip that joint. I'm like, alright. I played the next joint. Listen, it's like, yeah, man, you can just skip that joint. He like, yo, to me, you trying to sound like it sound like you trying to prove to niggas that you're this with the production that you choosing the Texas. I'm like, what? No, nigga, no. Like I'm trying to explain myself to Bull, but he just like, nigga, why your cover so red? Like, let me get some blue in that shit or something, dog. Like, why I gotta be so dark? Like, I'm like, I felt defeated. Like, I was offended because nobody ever put a mirror in front of me like that. Like when it came to my music, like he wasn't negating the fact that I'm talented, but he was exposing the fact that I'm still afraid to show who I really am. That I'm still afraid to step outside that box. And then, so when he did that, it really tore down just the ego that surrounded that project. And then when you got to bars, that's when I had to think, like, I had an epiphany. The first song that I was making for bars was actually Farewell. Like, Chuck Acid made the beat for me. And I'm listening to the beat, and I have healthy fear. So I was laying down, right? And this is where the transparency was birthed in its infancy, right? I was laying down, and I was thinking about all the rappers that got exposed by niggas in the hood, whether they stole their chain. I remember one video where this rapper was like, I remember like the Joey Jihad video. That's a great example. You feel me? Like they had him rapping. You mean they stayed and they knocked him the hell out. You mean? And that is the very first thing we think about when we think about Joey Jihad forever. And that put the fear of God in me, dog. I said, yo, what if I blow up and the niggas who knew Eli when Eli had trauma exposed times when I backed down from a fight. It exposed the time when the bull chunked me on my porch where I lived, stepped into my crib and told me to do something and I didn't do shit. What if that happened?
Yeah.
They're gonna tell a story that doesn't have the substance. They're not gonna be able to provide the proper context. Yeah, Bull gonna talk about the fact that I got trumped on my porch, but he's not gonna be able to explain the story of me watching my brother get trashed by grown men at 16 years old to the point that he was almost unconscious. Like I saw that at 11 years old. They're not gonna be able to tell those building blocks.
Yeah.
Exactly. I said, yo, I gotta tell it first.
Yeah.
So nobody can get the story fucked up.
I remember when I saw him perform this joint at Uptown Open Mic.
Yeah.
That shit, it was, I think, I don't know if I listened to it like earlier that week, or I might have listened to it later. But
you told me you heard it earlier, but you couldn't finish.
Yeah.
I was really coming at somebody.
Yeah, so that's what it was. So I started the song, like I listened to the tape, and I think I started that song and I didn't finish it. So I'm at Uptown Open Mic, he performing this song, and he talking about the ball in the building right now. And I'm looking around, the crowd looking around. Yo, that is an amazing performance song. Like, especially if you didn't hear it, then it's like, yo, this nigga in the building?
Yeah.
Damn, he's a savage. And he's like, yeah, I'm about to call him out right now. And then then it just switch up. And it's like, wow, that was a moment. Like,
thank you.
That shit was dope.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, no, that song started. So that song was the starting point of that whole body of work. You feel me? And what I realized when I released it is that the very thing that I deemed to be something that wasn't important or something that wasn't interesting just turned out to be the most relatable shit ever. Like me talking about being stuck in my mom's house and begging my mom, please let me go outside, because if you don't, I'm just gonna sneak out anyway.
Yeah.
Talking about, missing different social waves and just fashion trends and different things like that. I didn't realize how relatable they were to so many people, like
that's the thing.
Yeah.
It'd be so relatable. Like we all be going through similar stuff, but it's like we not sharing it, so we don't know how relatable it is. And then the way you packaged it and delivered it, and it's like, how can you? Come on, you fuck with this joint on multiple levels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I would say that intention evolved in so it started off as I gotta tell my truth because I'm scared that people are gonna expose it in the perverted way. Now it's like, yo, if I tell my truth, it builds my confidence.
Yeah.
I don't have to hide, and if I have confidence, then that admiration that we have for pimps and drug dealers and killers, they can see that in me now. Like kids, anytime I work with my kids, I'm always fresh. Feel me? Like I always make sure that I'm on point, so that when they looking at me, they're like, wow, this man literally talks about all the embarrassing things that go on, and people still respect him, and he still can look like that. That's something that I want to be. So even if music isn't their passion, they can put that same vulnerability into whatever they trying to do.